Hi, Taylor families. My name is Mrs. Muddiman, and I am a teacher here at our fabulous school. And I am going to read you a story today called Why Am I Here? It's a story about becoming the best version of yourself. So let's go ahead and get started. The boy's name was Max. He was just about old enough to start thinking about life's big questions. On weekends, Max's grandpa often took him fishing. Max liked being on the lake. It was quiet and peaceful. But most of all, Max loved spending time with his grandpa. On Saturday, they arrived at the lake, threw their lines into the water, and waited. They talked for a while about school and baseball, and then Max asked, "Grandpa, can I ask you a question?" "Fire away, kiddo," Grandpa replied. "Why am I here?" Max inquired. "To go fishing," his grandpa said with a big smile. "No, Grandpa," Max chuckled as he cast his line again. "Seriously, what is life really all about? Why am I here?" Grandpa smiled, his all-knowing smile. "What a wonderful question, Max. Many people live their whole life and never ask that question, and yet it is the most important question." Max sat listening carefully to what his grandpa was saying. "To help us both understand your question, Max, let me ask you a few questions." "Fire away," Max giggled. "What do you know about birds?" Grandpa asked. "They have wings," Max replied, "and they fly." "Very good. But do they bark?" "No, Grandpa, don't be silly. Birds don't bark. Dogs do," Max said. "Excellent. Now tell me, what are birds good at being?" "Birds are good at being birds, right?" Max responded, a little unsure of himself. "Exactly," Grandpa continued. "A bird doesn't try to be a fish or a lion. It just enjoys being the best bird it can be." Okay, Max, I have another one for you. What is a fish being good at? "Fish is good at being a fish," Mac exclaimed with more confidence. "Exactly. A fish doesn't try to be a bird or an elephant. It just tries to be the best fish it can be in every moment of every day." "But what does this all have to do with me, Grandpa?" "Well, Max, if a fish is good at being a fish and a bird is good at being a bird, then you, Max, are good at being Max. You are not here to be Michael or Hannah or Will. You are here to be you." "I guess it would be pretty boring if we were all the same, Grandpa." "That's exactly right, Max. And we are the happiest when we are just being ourselves. Imagine how unhappy a bird would be if it spent its whole life trying to be a fish. It wouldn't matter how hard that bird tried, it would never be good at being a fish. A bird will always fail when it tries to be a fish. Imagine how miserable an elephant would be if it tried to be a giraffe. An elephant will always fail when it tries to be a giraffe. And you and I, Max, we will always fail if we try to be someone other than who we are," Grandpa continued. "Now, getting back to your question, why are you here? You are here to become the best version of yourself." As they sat fishing quietly, Max thought to himself, "I am here to be the best Max I can be." After Max had some time to think about all of this, Grandpa continued, "Sometimes, Max, we do things that help us become the best version of ourselves. Sometimes we do things that don't. This week, I want you to pay close attention to the choices you make. Now that we have had this conversation, you'll start to notice moments every day when you have to make a choice, and hopefully you will start making choices that help you become the best version of yourself." Max, if you're ever confused about whether or not you should do something, just ask yourself, will this help me become the best version of myself? Now, why are you here? Grandpa quizzed Max. To become the best version of myself, he answered with a smile. It made sense to him. Grandpa put another worm on his line and threw it back into the water. At that very moment, Max felt a tug on his line. On Monday morning, when Max was helping his mother pack his lunch, he wanted to fill his lunchbox with candy and potato chips, but then he remembered the conversation with his grandpa and wondered to himself, what can I eat that will help me become the best version of myself? Max really wanted the candy and potato chips, but he knew an apple and a sandwich would help to make him the best version of himself. So Max decided to have an apple and a sandwich for lunch. At school, Max's teacher, Miss Lauren, asked the class what they had done over the weekend. Max raised his hand, and when she called him, he stood up and said, I went fishing with my grandpa and learned about why I am here. Why are you here, Max? His teacher asked. To become the best version of myself, Max replied. What a wonderful discovery, Miss Lauren exclaimed as she turned to write, become the best version of yourself across the top of the chalkboard. After lunch during art class, Jimmy took Max's markers. Miss Lauren asked, Jimmy, are you being the best version of yourself? Jimmy looked at Miss Lauren sheepishly and then turned to Max, gave back his markers, and apologized. After school, Max didn't feel like doing his homework. He really wanted to watch TV, but as he sat down and reached for the remote, he thought to himself, which will help me become the best version of myself, doing my homework or watching TV? Max decided to do his homework. It was difficult to focus, but when he finished, he felt good. Then the next morning, the first thing Miss Lauren did was ask the class, why are you here? Ellie raised her hand, and when she was called on, she said, to become the best version of myself. Miss Lauren asked Jake next, and he replied, to become the best version of myself. Then Miss Lauren asked the whole class, and they cried out together, to become the best version of myself. Fantastic, Miss Lauren applauded them. Let's make sure to remember that throughout the day. Then she asked the students to give examples of how they were becoming the best version of themselves. Hands shot up all over the classroom. Max's classmates were excited to share about how they were becoming the best versions of themselves. After school on Tuesday, Max went shopping with his mother. He saw a new video game at the store and asked his mother if he could have it. Max's mother looked at it and said, it seems very violent, Max. Remember your conversation with Grandpa? Do you think it will help you become the best version of yourself? Max realized that even though all of his friends had the new video game, maybe it wasn't the best choice for him. He really wanted the video game, but he wanted to be the best version of himself even more. You're right, Mom, he said as he put the video game back on the shelf. When they got home, Max's dad was sitting on the couch watching football and eating an enormous bag of potato chips. Is that helping you to become the best version of yourself, Dad? Max asked and giggled as he grabbed his helmet and went outside to ride his bike with his friends. After school on Friday, Max was tired of waiting in line at the drinking fountain and pushed Hannah to get in front of the line. Miss Lauren saw him do this and asked, Max, was that the best version of yourself? No, Miss Lauren, Max replied. Then turning to Hannah, he helped her pick up her things and said, I'm sorry for pushing you, Hannah. That was selfish and mean of me. I won't do it again. After school, Max was thirsty. He felt like a cola, but he thought to himself, water is better for me, and it will help me become the best version of myself. So he drank a big glass of cold water. It was refreshing, and it filled Max with energy. After dinner, Max cleared the table with his mother and then helped his little sister put her toys away. While he was doing it, he came to a wonderful realization. Whenever I do The things that help me become the best version of myself. I feel really good inside. I guess Grandpa was right. I'm happiest when I am trying to be the best Max I can be. As Max climbed into bed that night, he made a list in his mind of all the things he had said and done that helped him become the best version of himself. I thanked my mom for making me breakfast, worked hard in school, ate healthy food, tried my best at baseball practice when I felt like being lazy, drank plenty of water, did my chores without being asked, helped my little sister put her toys away. Max felt proud and joyful about his list. Then Max made a list of things that he said and done that day that didn't help him become the best version of himself. I talked to Jamal in class while Miss Lauren was speaking. I pushed Hannah at the drinking fountain, ate too many cookies, and told a lie to my parents. As he thought about his list, Max felt disappointed in himself. He didn't like feeling this way, so he decided he would try harder the next day. He also decided that from that night on, he would think about his day each night before he would go to sleep. Max drifted off to sleep with a smile on his face, thinking, I'm not perfect, but I am better today than I was yesterday, and every day in every way. I am working on becoming the best version of myself. The end. Thank you so much for joining me in my story. I hope that you enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites, and hopefully, we'll get to see you next year in the building. Take care, everybody.